Welcome to the Mischief. I'm Vallen, and this is Immersive Engineering, Redstone Cables and Coils. First and foremost, you're probably going to want to learn how to make this stuff. So, let's grab this, and you can see redstone wire coil, which is made with just a couple pieces of redstone and a couple aluminum ingots that have been converted into aluminum wires with your cable cutters there. Now, that makes you 4 of them, so it's not too bad of an exchange rate. Then you've got your redstone wire connectors. That is made with some electrum nuggets, a couple pieces of hardened clay, and 1 piece of redstone gets you 4 of those. So you get quite a bit for what you may or may not be trying to use it for. Now, you should also be aware that these are not electrical currents. Therefore, you can use your skyhook if you have that one, if you have one of those, to ride these things. They're just basically aluminum wires that are non-conductive for electricity, but they are coated in a redstone, so therefore they will transmit redstone signals for long distances, 32 blocks or give or take, so that you can not have any loss of signal strength. And it's really, really good for that and highly customizable. You're going to want to use your engineer's hammer on this, because if you look over here, we have all the different colors you can make without needing any dyes. Basically, I place one down. Let's say this one here. You know, I could just place one down. Very simple. Nothing really fancy. And you can then just shift right-click, and that will change its color as you just cycle through it. And there's 16 different colors, so you can have tons of options with this. And I'll explain how these work in a moment. But you should also know that if you look here, you see that they've all got this little blue band in the center. If I just regular right-click instead of shift right-click, it turns orange and says output. So input, output. Therefore, you can control the redstone signal's direction with this. Now, I have it set up over here so that we can better navigate what's going on. Now, whatever you do, if you're using levers, don't use your engineer's hammer, or else weird things happen and it'll take you a moment to put it back where it's supposed to be. So just so that you're aware of that one there. Now, many of you may be familiar with redstone lamps and how these work. Basically, I flick the lever, it gives a redstone signal to the redstone lamp that it is connected to, which then also lights up these neighboring items here. Now, in this case, it's because it's a redstone lamp, it's also transmitting the signal over to the block next to it in a way, but not really. It's more or less because the lever is here, it's also transmitting a redstone signal over here. For instance, if I put a redstone lamp down there, it's going to light up. And then one over here, it's going to light up. So this is transmitting a signal in the, 4, 5, 6 directions around it. Nothing really fancy there. It's basic vanilla stuff. But with this, therefore, you know that this redstone wire connector is receiving a redstone signal. So if you connect it to another one, it will transmit that signal, but you notice nothing is happening. The reason being is that this one is set for input, and this one is set for input. So you'll have to change this one to output, and there you go. It now will transmit that signal. Now, if I take this from a white one here, let me grab my redstone coil, connect it to a different color. Nothing happens, and you notice this one is already set to output. It's not going to work, but here's the really cool thing. You can connect these around, and it will still transmit the signal around, but it will only activate on those that are set up with the same color. So you can have an alternating setup going on here. You could have pulses. You can do all sorts of interesting things. Now let's connect all these together here, and I'm going to turn this off. Then I'm going to connect this and this. So if you just want your purple hooked up lights to turn on, you can do that. And then if you just want your white ones to hook up, there you go. So you can turn on certain machines as you want just by rotating shift right click through the different color combinations. It's really interesting. I like it quite a bit. It's pretty fancy stuff, and I just changed the color of one of these that I'm going to need for demonstration in a moment. So let me switch that back. There we go. And now we currently have that not hooked up. Let's connect that one more time. There we go. Now, we have a lot more to cover here. You'll notice that I have these the posts running around here. You can use these to have quite a bit of stuff on them. I mean, I've got a lantern, I've got one of the wire connectors, I've got a HV, LV, MV, all sorts of stuff on these things. They can have quite a bit. Now here's the thing that you need to know is that these will not transmit, they won't transmit between them. So for instance, if I run a redstone cable here to this, and I put down a lever, let's put it actually on the side of this block here, and do that. This is getting a redstone signal. For example, I will put this down, oops, this end, and let me change the color of this one so that it matches up. And those are actually all brown. I just realized that. Hold on a second. But brown or not, it's not going to make a difference because it's going to transmit the signal to the end, which is what I forgot. So there we go. See, output white goes to white. I forgot about that. But you'll notice that if I have these running on here, if these were turned on and off by a redstone signal, which they're not in this case, it would not transmit the redstone above it or across it or anything. So these are all running independently, and that's basically what I'm showing here, is that I've got 3 different power lines running on here as well, and there is not going to be any kind of issue because they're not really connected. They're all separate. Now, ways that you can connect them is by putting a lever on the post close by. So if it's here, it's actually right next to this one, just as if it was down here, you know, putting it right next to this connector. It's the same as the post because of where it is. It's right above it. So therefore it will function with that. Putting a lever up on top here will affect both of these on either side. Things that you'll want to take into account if you decide to add in extra on-off switches or things that will work in your favor. Now we've covered a bunch of the redstone connectors and coils, but we also have this item here, the Redstone Breaker. Redstone Breaker is made with a couple HV connectors, some iron ingots, redstone repeater, and redstone. Of course, the wire connectors are aluminum and hardened clay, so we're not getting into heavy-duty materials like the requirement for steel or anything at this point. Now here's the thing. You notice here I have a HV wire connector. I also have a LV going out of it. It might be a little bit tricky to get this to work properly, but it should function just fine. You might have to like connect it and then unconnect it just so that it renders properly and works properly. This works in really weird ways. You can have multiple things connecting on in really strange ways. Just make sure it connects in a visible way, and this one will actually work properly. It's a little bit glitchy, but you know, a lot of things in 1.10 are a little bit newer than they were you know, back in 1.7.10. Anyway, moving on with this. This is a breaker, just like a circuit breaker that we covered over there, but it works off of a redstone signal. So to give an example, currently this lantern is being lit by the power from this creative capacitor. So it is currently working. Now if I were to give this a signal to shut this off, the light turns off. Very simple. And by giving a redstone signal to these items, it is currently breaking the circuit. So that's what this is for. And I just used the 2 different powers so you could see that you can hook up multiple different powers to it and interrupt the current with a redstone signal. It's really handy stuff, really interesting. And there are really different ways that this functions to demonstrate that your power doesn't really work the way that you might think. Let's turn on the purple set. So therefore there is purple power coming through here right now. As you can see, all the purple ones are lit up, and it is set for output just like the others. So it is transmitting a redstone signal at the moment, but it is currently not shutting off the lantern. Reason being is because this needs to receive a redstone signal, and this is not giving one because these are not actually part of the same block. There is a division in this. Now if I were to flick this lever, then you'd notice the change because it is currently now getting a redstone signal since the lever is right next to it. This block is actually separated from this one by your aluminum post. If you look here, it actually says aluminum post. So you'll want to keep that in mind, that top to bottom will not work, but you might be able to manage left to right on the top of the post. If you really want to have a switch up there, you could potentially put a redstone wire connector, you know, up here. Let's do this and then change this to purple output, and then I'm going to connect this down here. There we go, and then I can connect this over there because I didn't want it to be obstructed, and you can see it currently shuts off the signal as well, and when I flick this lever, the lanterns turn back on and back off again. So you should be able to use this up top. You could even move the Redstone Breaker to the center if you want. You know, it looks a bit funky, kind of hanging out on the edge here, but you know, it's a little something to take into account. And that's pretty much it. I mean, there isn't, it's not too fancy of a stuff. If I try, you could set up all sorts of different displays. There are different availabilities for this, so that you could, you know, set up repeaters running down a line and have like a flashing light display. It can be really, really cool. But it's really, it works really well. And it's not too confusing. It looks confusing when you look at this kind of stuff, but it's actually rather simple. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little bit by bit on Immersive Engineering Redstone Connectors and Conduits. I know that I always enjoy myself a little bit more of a tutorial. Anyway, give a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to spread the mischief to others if you think they'll like it. And until next time, folks, I'll see ya.